American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all away.
History for Jerks presents
American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
Welcome to us.
Yeah, and
Yeah. This is episode 100 and something. 13 maybe? 12, 11?
it's a lot of
113.
fucking
This is a
episodes.
lot of
all we know.
episodes. Sorry about all the episodes, everybody.
We apologize. So today we are talking about 1968. We are still
Maybe
in.
it's the air that I'm hearing blowing.
Could be.
Can you turn the AC off?
I don't know.
Who cares?
Who
Nobody
cares?
cares about
Nope.
our podcast. All right. Yeah, and we're in the fall of 1968. Here we are in September.
Mm-hmm.
You motherfuckers. The first thing I have is September 7th, 1968.
Yes.
We're jumping right in, right? We don't have to get
Yeah.
into small talk.
No, we're good.
Yeah, sorry we took off. Oh, wait, we do have to say we took a week off last week. Sorry about that. Memorial Day plus pandemic plus
Right.
the world's on fire right
Yeah.
now. Like, rightfully so.
Yes.
There's a revolution. There's
it needs to burn.
Yeah, we need to burn everything down.
Try again.
More black people being killed for nothing, and I think everybody's just done with it. We're done with it.
Yes.
This is it. No more. No more. No more. All right. But we're going to escape a little bit of this reality, get into 1968,
At least for a little.
where there is even more
It'll be like a
unrest.
semi-escape.
It's
yeah.
not really. But it's
It's so
really
parallel.
It's amazing at what a parallel it is.
Mhm.
1968 was filled with civil rights and
Riots
and riots and everything else, and it
Yep.
just seemed like there was a riot every day, and that's what we're living through right now.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully these riots will make a bigger change. But anyway, on September 7th, 1968, that's the first thing I have.
Yep.
2 different protests were made against the Miss America beauty pageant in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, really?
One against sexism, the other against racism.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Again, same,
Same things.
But when I think about it, I can't believe that Miss America still
happens.
Like,
I
it's
know.
so misogynistic
It's
and
so
gross.
and so just like
And
I mean
those
they still have a swimsuit. They still have the
they
swimsuit
have all. It's
competition.
exactly
but-
the same. Anytime I see pageant people,
Yeah, I know.
it's a weird thing.
It is a weird thing.
Anyway, activist and author Robin Morgan and 100 members of the feminist organization New York Radical Women organized the No More Miss America protest and picketed outside of Convention Hall while the pageant went on inside. Among the events were the crowning of a live sheep, followed by the parade of the U, dressed in a bikini and a Miss America sash, along the famous Atlantic City boardwalk, and the planned burning of the contents of a Freedom trash can with high-heeled shoes, women's brassieres, girdles, false eyelashes, and copies of magazines like Playboy. A description by reporter Lindsay Van Gelder and the New York Post of the bonfire plan. A description by reporter Lindsay Van Gelder and the New York Post of the bonfire plan was described as the first bra-burning protest.
Oh, was it?
It attracted reporters, but an Atlantic City ordinance prohibited the setting of fires on the wooden boardwalk. This was one of the first large demonstrations of second-wave feminism as the women's liberation movement began to attract national media attention. Judith Ford of Illinois was crowned as Miss America for 1969 at Convention Hall, but on the same evening, the very first Miss Black America pageant took place at the nearby Ritz-Carlton Hotel, initially to call attention to the lack of African-American contestants in the pageant and in the state pageants that determine the winners. Sandra Williams of Pennsylvania was crowned hours after Ford won the Miss America title. That's one of those things I'm like, oh, good for her, but also like...
It's a beauty pageant.
Yeah, it's great that there's finally a black. You do your own black one, but should you do a pageant at all? Like, they're just so.
I know. Back then, that was very normal.
It is. It still is, actually. There's a lot of those, and they're still money make.
I think they're more
They're not
fringe.
as popular, maybe
They're more
fringe now.
Yeah.
They're kind of a money grab. Like,
Yeah.
I realized, like, I've been on the business end of it, like renting a facility to someone, and it's like, really?
Mhm.
It's gonna cost all this money and nobody comes to it? Like 20 people come?
Well, and the
you're not
contestants to get into it, they have to pay so much money.
That's what it is. Like, they don't care that they have to pay a lot of money to rent the theater, and they're not selling any tickets.
Because the contestants have to pay like
because they got to pay so much. They're already making
to,
money on it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that's where I realized, this is all a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
It's a profit deal. Like
That's
Steve
right.
Martin said in The Jerk. Oh, you mean
it's a profit deal?
Oh, step right. Oh, that takes all the pressure off. Step right up. Win 2 chiclets and a thimble, or whatever it is. Anything in this 2 inches.
Yeah.
The also, that same day,
Yeah.
the Banana Splits Adventure Hour began airing on NBC as a collaboration of Sid and Marty Krofft with the Hanna-Barbera Company.
I love Sid and Marty Krofft.
Making the start of a trend in the American television networks away from the violent programming to slapstick comedy and music. The show featured 4 costumed animal characters, Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snork, who played instruments in a rock group. The show would run for 2 seasons, airing its last episode 15 months later on December 13th, 1969. Have you ever heard of the Banana Splits?
Do we have a
Adventure
theme
Hour?
song we could play?
I do, and it's terrible. I couldn't stop watching. This is like one of those things. You know how every once in a while you see something like a clown coming out of a sewer, like, when you see a creepy
I don't
clown,
see
like
clowns coming out of the sewer. But
isn't that from a movie where it's creepy, or like something just nuts? Like, this is one of those things that is, I can understand why people who are young in the '60s are insane now.
Really?
Brought to you by Kellogg's. Kellogg's puts more in your morning. More nourishment. More flavor. More fun.
I remember that song. I think I used to watch this.
Starring the Arabian Nights. Danger Island.
Danger Island.
Three Musketeers. And the Banana Split.
So 60s. Boy, that
Anyway,
goes on.
It goes on and on and on. You
That
get
goes
the
on
idea.
for days.
Yeah, and I watched an episode, like, and it was just weird and nuts and like trippy and like. I think everybody in the '60s was just on hallucinogens,
Just
and then they just
something.
made things for kids, and kids had to watch all this crazy shit
And
that
kids loved it.
their drug-addled parents and families made.
Well, that's like one of the best parts of Sesame Street is that jukebox
All the
part.
drug-addled people.
No, that
Oh,
jukebox
1, 2, 3, 4,
part.
5,
Yeah,
6,
where
7,
the
8, 9,
jukebox,
10,
it
11,
shows the
12.
inside of a pinball machine. That is so trippy if you watch that. It's got all the
Yeah.
swirls and all the... And
Yeah, I guess, and
that
kids
was
don't
one of the
think of
best
it. Kids are
parts.
innocent, so they don't see it
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
All right, I guess that's fine. But these are like mascots. Those are
Yeah.
always creepy too. Mascots, like adult-sized people in animal costumes, talking
Oh,
with weird
kids
voices.
love those, though.
But one of these voices is it's a character, somebody's voice. That's Tigger. The guy who does Tigger is one of
really?
the voices, I think. Yeah. Anyway, it's real creepy, and now I realize I'm gonna stop giving boomers such a hard time.
You are, because of the Sid and Marty Krofft
Yeah,
hour?
because they grew up with that, and they're nuts. Anyway.
Yeah, but the boomers in '68 were like
they
in
were
high school.
They were in high school, so I
Yeah.
guess the early Gen Xers then, the
yeah,
older
the
Gen
early,
Xers.
older Gen Xers.
Feel bad for those
about
guys.
probably about my age.
You are old. And then September 10th,
What?
Tuesday, September 10th. No, you weren't born yet in '68.
No,
though.
but I think the Banana Splits was on after.
I don't know
Maybe
about
it
that.
came back.
The
I don't know.
cartoons that were on there seem familiar, but anyway, September 10th was a Tuesday, and Big Daddy Kane was born. His name was Antonio Hardy, American hip hop artist. He was born in Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn. And then on Thursday, September 12th, just a few days after Big Daddy Kane was in the world, a team of physicians and designers led by engineer Robert W. Mann of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology introduced the Boston Digital Arm, the first prosthetic limb controlled by a brain-computer interface, wherein the wearer could control the movement of the arm by the electronic signals sent by the brain to
Whoa.
electronic instruments designed to interpret the signals.
Whoa.
That blows my mind.
that blows my
That
mind.
it even exists now.
Does it
Much less
exist?
in the 60s.
So did it work?
Yeah, I think so. People can do that. They have
Really?
those. Those work. Those
I
are a
never
thing.
even knew that was a thing.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, that's not real.
No.
It's not real. Anyway, yeah, it blows my mind that is a
Yeah,
thing.
that is. That's
Isn't
pretty
that
good.
cool?
Mm-hmm. Like bionics.
Bi-
Bionics were a thing. Bionics existed in the 70s, so.
Stop it. Saturday, September 14th, 1968, the American CBS television network unveiled its lineup of nonviolent musical comedies with The Archie Show, bringing the teenage characters from the popular Archie comics to
Yes.
TV and giving them instruments to play as a rock band, the Archies. The new
Yep.
formula of cartoons and pop music was so successful that one of the Archies recordings that had started on the animated show, Sugar Sugar, reached number 1 on the Billboard
I
Hot
remember
100
that song.
of best-selling songs the following year and would stay there for 4 weeks. That same day, with a 5-4 victory over the Oakland A's, Detroit Tigers pitcher Denny McLain won his 30th game of the 1968 season and became the first Major League Baseball pitcher to win 30 games since 1934. Dizzy Dean, the last 30-game winner and former St. Louis Cardinal pitcher, was on hand in Detroit to congratulate McLean's achievement, and he shook his hand after wiping his own ass with his bare hand without any toilet paper, just to give him the
No.
old stink palm.
See,
He may have.
you're
As of
making things up.
2017, no other Major League pitchers have had 30 wins.
You just throw those things in there so that you want because you want me to listen.
I just want to see if you're listening.
Yeah.
But Brian McCartney will be very excited that we talked about this. He loves pitching and catchers and baseball. And so he'll be excited that no other major pitchers have won 30 wins. He's probably like,
Yeah.
he probably tells his wife before bed every night, hey, did you know no other Major League pitchers have had 30 wins since Denny McLain?
All right.
She's
What's
probably
next?
like, I love you. And that brings us to September 16th, which was a Monday of 1968. And that makes me believe that you,
Yes.
Amy, my betrothed, my lovely, beautiful wife with a banging bod,
Stop
you
it.
have something to share with us. One of
Yes.
your crazy rapey stories.
I'm going to talk about the murder of Carol Jenkins.
What? You have a murder story? Surprise!
Yes, and I got my information from Wikipedia, catmanduck2.wordpress,
Wait a second.
and chicagotribune.com.
That's ChicagoTribune.com, I understand, but Catman Duck 2?
Yeah,
Can you, like, is it,
Cathmanduck2, I guess.
can you, like, spell it? Is it the letter 2, the number 2?
Yeah.
Half man.
Cath, like Kathy.
Oh, Kath?
Yes,
Man.
yes. DUK,
Duk?
number 2.
The number 2. Okay. I just got, I got to put the reference in.
All
so
right.
If it's like,
All right. So Carol Jenkins was born
not Carol Baskin.
to Elizabeth Jenkins in Franklin, Indiana in 1947.
Okay. Seems plausible.
Her
Same year my grandparents graduated high school.
Yes. Her mother divorced her father when Carol was still an infant, though.
Oh, that's bad news. Never a divorce when you have an infant.
Elizabeth would later marry Paul Davis, a local factory worker in nearby Rushville.
No, Paul Davis is a stand-up guy. Start your life over. It's fine.
So Paul raised Carol as his own,
Okay.
while he and Elizabeth would go on to have 5 more children, all of
Whoa.
whom looked up to Carol as their big sister.
That's a lot of kids. And does she like having younger siblings?
Yeah, I think so.
And do they look up? I mean, does she even remember that that's not her dad? Like, do we even?
I don't know. I don't know.
What is she like sewing? Like, what are her hobbies? Does she play tennis?
I don't know, honey.
Oh,
Okay, can I move on?
didn't do the proper research.
So,
huh?
as a teenager, Carol wanted to move to Chicago and become a model.
As a lot of people do.
Yet
Lot of
shortly after graduating from Rushville High School in 1965,
Yeah.
she got a job at the plant of the Philco division of the Ford Motor Company.
That's a stand-up division.
Carol worked there until a union strike temporarily shut the plant down.
You know, these unions and their strikes.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Looking to supplement her income, she took a job as a door-to-door saleswoman for Collier's selling
Oh, no.
encyclopedias.
Collier's, that was a magazine then. Now, and that was the thing, you would need encyclopedias. You don't need them now.
Right.
But
But everybody needed a set in their house.
You got to have encyclopedia. I remember I loved my
Yeah.
parents' encyclopedia. I used to look through it, just learn
Look,
stuff.
it was a whole series of books. It wasn't just one.
Oh, I know. I would grab A through L or L through
Yeah.
H or whatever.
It's just
L through-
weird that every household just had a giant set of books.
Well, you needed to.
Yeah, I know.
And I remember referencing it. It's like, go look it up.
Yeah.
Go look it up in the encyclopedia.
Yeah, I
like
know.
now when you tell a kid
People
what
don't
it's-
have even dictionaries anymore.
No, you don't need them.
No.
You got your phone.
Yeah, that's
You got
right.
all the world's knowledge at your fingertips at all
It's
times.
so bizarre.
So trying to explain to kids, I had to used to look stuff up in the encyclopedia.
I know. Yeah.
There's no reason to do that anymore.
Anyway.
But going door to door selling encyclopedias was a normal thing then. It's
Mhm.
absurd now. Like if somebody came to
Yeah.
somebody in our neighborhood's door selling encyclopedias, the police would be called,
Mhm.
and there would be a post on the next door app.
Yep.
And you'd
Yeah.
be like, "Well, there's a person
Yep.
selling encyclopedias. Call the police."
Okay.
Anyway,
On
sorry.
September 16th, 1968.
Yeah. Oh, September 16th. That's your birthday.
No, my birthday's in October.
Oh,
honey.
yeah. I should get that down.
Oh, my God. 20-year-old Carol, dressed in a white cotton turtleneck, a pair of olive green wool pants, a brown jacket, and a bright yellow scarf,
It's a perfectly normal outfit.
embarked on her first day of selling encyclopedias door to door.
Wait a minute. She's wearing that on her first day?
Yeah.
Not acceptable.
To impress her boss, she volunteered to go to Martinsville, Indiana.
Oh, nobody wants to go to Martinsville, so
Now-
that would impress.
Martinsville was known to be a sundown town.
What does that mean?
Do you know what a
Oh,
sundown
shit.
town
You
is?
told me this once. Is that a racial thing?
Yes.
Like where
You
after
are not
dark
allowed
black
to-
people can't
right.
go outside?
Right. You could be
Jesus.
shot.
Though I know a terrible. You know what? In a lot of ways, like we talked about at the beginning,
Yep.
things haven't changed.
No.
Jesus.
Yet Carol thought she would be safe that evening as she would be traveling there with 3 coworkers.
Oh, she black?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
2 white men and a 19-year-old black woman and her. They're all going together.
So there's 2 black people in their party.
Yeah. There's 2 out of
Oh.
the 4.
Oh, this is sad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna like this story.
No, you're not. While on her route to
For some reason, I don't mind when white people die. It's just when black people die, and it
I
makes me
know.
upset.
While on her route, 2 white men in a car began following her, cat calling at her and hurling
So
racist
she's by herself,
slurs.
or she's with the group?
While she's, oh no, they like had a central location. Then they all kind of went
Oh.
on a route, and then they were going to meet back up.
Okay, gotcha. So,
So
she's
she-
walking,
She's walking, yeah.
separate from the group. that
And
was in her-
these guys start to follow her, and they're starting catcalling
Oh.
and yelling racist slurs.
Jesus.
So she goes, she
Sad
sees
world.
this home of this young white married couple. She goes to that home.
Okay.
Then Don and Norma Neal, and she said, "Please help me."
Don and Norma
Yeah.
Neal?
She said, "Please let me in. I've got somebody following me. Please help me."
Yeah.
So they call the police out to the
Oh, good.
residence,
Okay.
and then
Lucky there.
the police reported that they. So then the police go out and look for the guys.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they say, well, we tracked down those guys, and they did admit following her, but they didn't admit anything else.
Okay.
And so,
And so we arrested him and then put him in jail.
No.
immediately? No.
nope.
Of course not.
So Norma Neal then walked several blocks with Carol to try to meet back up with her coworkers.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. But they couldn't.
And then that's the end of the story, and everything was fine,
know.
and no more, and we'll move on.
but they couldn't find the coworkers.
Oh no.
And so then Neal offered to let Carol stay at their house,
Whoa.
but
super
Carol
nice.
turned down the offer, saying she didn't want to trouble them any further.
Ah,
So
man.
around 8:30 p.m., Carol then walked off, heading to the predetermined rendezvous point where she was supposed to meet her coworkers to head back to Rushville.
Now, contrary to popular belief, it's not pronounced rendezvous. It's
Right.
rendezvous.
Right.
You're correct.
Thank you. So she's waiting there, and nobody's showing up.
Okay.
So about 15 to 30 minutes later, the car comes back. The dudes are back. They get out of the
Fucking white
car,
assholes.
and then she starts to run, and they
Yeah.
chase her.
Out of the car. They're out of the
They
car.
get out of
on
the car,
foot?
yeah.
They're chasing her on foot.
Yep. And she starts to run. She sees them get out, and they chase her, and now they're chasing her. And they get her. They catch her, and the one guy holds her arms behind her back, and the other man takes a screwdriver and stabs her in the heart.
Oh, jeez. What the hell?
And then
Come on.
and-
We're living in a society.
and then the men just dropped her on the street and got in the car and sped away.
They stabbed her in the heart with a screwdriver
Yep.
and ran away?
Yep.
What kind of people?
She died there, bleeding from her wounds.
This kind of thing belongs more on a true crime podcast.
I know.
Than
So
on a podcast like this where we're talking about television.
So they, Carol's father later insisted that due to the racist past of Martinsville, that the police needed to bring the FBI in on this case
Oh, yeah, because they'll be,
to help
in
investigate,
cahoots,
but
yeah.
the police refused to do it.
of course.
Davis would later say, I felt that because she was a black girl, nobody did anything.
I'm sure.
So her case goes cold.
Okay.
Nobody can
Nobody's
find out
even
who
looking
did
into
it.
it or cares. Yeah.
Nobody's even caring. Then, in June of 2000...
Wait a minute. The year 2000?
The year 2000. How does that go?
The year 2000. Conan O'Brien, right?
That's right. The year 2000.
So you're talking 32 years later?
Mm-hmm. Carol's mother, Elizabeth, receives an anonymous phone call from someone. And that's
30 years later?
Yep. And this person names the killer.
You're kidding.
Elizabeth told Paul, who dipped into his retirement savings to hire a private investigator
Hold on.
to look into
Elizabeth told Paul. That's her parents?
it. No, her husband. Elizabeth is Carol's mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elizabeth
She
and
gets
Paul
the
are her
phone call.
parents.
Right. So
Carol's
she,
parents.
She,
Yeah, gotcha.
She gets the phone call. She tells Paul
Yeah, she tells her husband, hey.
to get
Oh,
your retirement
not her
savings
dad.
out.
Yeah, her stepdad or whatever.
Get your retirement savings out and hire a private investigator and look into this name.
Wow.
So then the Indiana State Police get wind of them hiring a private investigator.
Uh-huh.
So then they assign 2 cold case investigators to look back into the murder.
The police do?
Yeah, because they got wind of this private investigator snooping around it. So in November 2001, then the investigators receive an anonymous letter naming the killer. So now it's a letter that goes right to the police.
Holy shit.
And it names the killer as Kenneth Clay Richmond. And the letter also says that Richmond's daughter Shirley had witnessed the murder.
His daughter witnessed it?
Yes. So
why? What?
So
all right, if you're gonna
the detectives, they determine
Yeah.
All right, let's find out. Does this guy have a daughter?
Sure, even if he has a daughter.
And he does. Is she that same around? Would she have been around that same age,
And
like
she-
5 or 6 at the
Oh,
time?
5 or 6. Okay.
And
so it's a child that's witnessing.
right. And
No,
they say
I've
they-
always
they
said
say
if you're gonna
yes.
stab somebody through the heart with a screwdriver, don't do it in front of a child. I've always
Right.
said that. It's a
So
thing I
they
say.
they look her up, and then they go to her house and they knock on her door. And this is 2 weeks before Christmas.
How old she at this point? She's
She's
30, 40?
Yeah, she's in like early
In
40s.
the 40s. I can relate. I'm
Yeah.
in my 40s.
Right, me too. So
we're both in our 40s.
That's right.
Imagine if someone comes to the door.
Yep, I know. So she sits
Grudges
down
up
with
the
them,
murder.
and she tells them this chilling
So she
tale.
remembers.
Yes, and of total hatred.
Oh.
She says her father had been drinking, and they were just passing through. They weren't from Martinsville.
What? They weren't even from
No,
Martinsville?
They were passing through.
Just driving by and see an African American
Yeah.
person and you go
Yep.
nuts like that?
Yep.
And drinking and
so
driving?
It was rainy, and she said she was in the back seat, and her father had a buddy, another white man, in the front passenger seat. And then
Yeah.
they are driving around, and they see this black woman walking on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And so they are yelling at her, and
Two
she
pieces
sped
of
up,
shit,
started
these
walking
guys.
faster. Shirley, her name, the daughter's name is Shirley McQueen. That's her married name now.
Okay.
So she told investigators that the girl, Carol Jenkins,
Yeah.
sensed that she was in danger
Yeah.
and started then to run.
Yeah.
And then the men got out of the car and chased her and
Left this 5-year-old in the car?
in the car. And she said her father grabbed a screwdriver from the car and plunged it into Jenkins' chest while his friend pinned her arms back. And then they returned to the car laughing and said she got what she deserved.
Laughing?
As they drove away, McQueen told detectives she looked back and saw the woman fall next to a bush. She did not know she had been killed at the time. She just had seen her be stabbed, and she's this little girl.
And what did she think, I wonder? Like,
And then she also told detectives she remembered the woman was wearing a yellow scarf, which was a detail that had been left out of all the news accounts.
Oh, nobody knew that. Yeah, so
Yes.
she definitely knows it's true.
So when they got home that night, she says her father gave her $7, $1 for every year that she was alive, and told her not to tell her mother. And it was our secret, he had told her.
What the fuck, man?
So over the years,
what kind of world do we live in?
Shirley McQueen had only told 2 people what she had seen that night, a counselor and her ex-sister-in-law.
Those are the 2 people she told.
Yeah, it was the ex-sister-in-law who
Who did the
wrote the
anonymous
letter. Yeah.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad she did. Think about that daughter.
I know.
How do you live a normal life?
I
With
know.
seeing your parent.
Well,
murder-
her father must have been abusive, I would say.
Oh, he must have been a piece of shit.
Yeah, total piece of shit.
Could have been the only awful thing
Right,
he's done.
exactly.
I mean, that's a human being that just does that.
Mhm.
And he's allowed to just walk in society and do whatever the fuck he
For
wants.
years.
For years.
Yep.
And I guess the whole thing I want is just the people realize, like, this isn't a super great place. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's hell. Like,
Yeah.
it's not great. Like, that's the thing. They build it up as you and I, like, as children, were led to believe this is the greatest country on earth, and
Right.
it's nothing but wonderfulness, and it's all great. And then you see what's really happening for other people.
Right. And your
And it's
eyes are
not.
peeled.
Yeah. And you're like, it's not great. But we got to make it. We got to make America great again.
Oh my God, stop it. All right. So anyway, she had until 3 months ago, Shirley McQueen had not seen her father in 24 years. He was,
really?
according to the affidavit, he was an abusive father and husband.
Oh, sure. Piece of shit.
She, on January 17th of 2000, she confronted her father about the slaying.
Oh, she did? That could have been a date that
And
you gave
I know,
me that
and
I
I-
could say,
and
oh,
it
the
was-
same day.
Yeah, but nobody wants to. So
Oh,
anyway,
nobody wants to.
so he denied it. He denied it. So she asked him about it.
He denied
and
stabbing
he denied it. But he told his daughter that everything was in the past. Oh, well, that was the past. We don't need to go back to the past.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, Jesus.
He told her, you should let the past go. I can't change my past. It's over.
This guy's a real jewel.
So Richmond had been in and out of trouble with the law for much of his life,
Yeah.
including an attempted murder charge in Florida in 1987. He was found not guilty
1987,
by
the same
reason of
year.
insanity. So
Really?
you know that it must have been really bad because that verdict is never passed down.
Wasn't 1987 the same year that License to Drive came out?
I don't know. The affidavit does
I'll
not
check
go into
real quick.
detail about that case, though, so we don't really know what the deal was. Carol's brother, Larry Davis.
Oh, License to Drive was 1988.
All right.
Sorry.
Carol's brother, Larry Davis, was the last one in the family to see her alive.
Yeah.
I didn't want her to be late on her first day, he said. I coaxed her to get up. That hung with me for a long time. My life changed so much after my sister was killed. So for more than 33 years, the murder of Jenkins
Hume.
remained unsolved. But on May 8th, 2002...
Oh, the same day that, on According to Jim, Cheryl has a day of errands and time with her friends. Jim has to watch the children, but when he has a chance to have the kids go to a friend's home, he readily drops the kids off. When Cheryl returns, he forgets where the kids are.
yes.
That same day, when According to
that
Jim
classic
was on. That
episode.
classic episode of According to Jim.
They
Now, aren't you upset that you didn't
I
give
know.
me the other date?
I am. So police arrested Kenneth C. Richmond in an Indianapolis nursing home.
What?
Upon his arrest, Richmond was found to be a 70-year-old career criminal with a history of bizarre behavior and affiliation with groups such as the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, man. Can you imagine working in a nursing home? Somebody arrests one
I
of your
know.
old fucking
I
guys that
know.
lives there? And can you
Oh,
imagine?
I saw a documentary about one of the it was one of the SS Nazi
What?
concentration camp guards that they found in a nursing home.
What?
You got to, and then
In
it turns
Germany?
out it's not really him.
Oh no!
They put him. He goes on trial at the Hague and everything. It's a fascinating. Ivan the Terrible is who they thought he was.
Holy
So
shit!
they pulled him out and
in Germany?
no, he was in America. I think.
Are you
They
recommending
found
this
him in
documentary?
America. Yeah, I can't
Is it on
remember
the
It's on
Netflixes?
Netflix. It's about Ivan the Terrible, but I can't remember the name of the documentary. But it was really good. Like
Wow!
because at the end it turns and at the end you're kind of like
don't
it's
give
up
it
in the
away.
air.
Spoiler alert!
Like you
don't give it away.
Okay, I won't. Okay, but
We
I'm
already
just saying.
did.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We're a spoiler alert.
Well, it's not really a way spoiling it because you're not sure which you believe.
Okay.
But it's really good. Like there's a lot of evidence on each side, so it's like, what is the truth?
You know, let's take this with a grain of salt because you also think Joe Dirt is a good movie.
No, I've never seen that.
Oh.
But like they try him in Israel.
Really?
The Jews, a Jewish court and everything in Israel is where they tried him.
So we're still talking about this Netflix.
Yeah.
show. But now let's get back to this story.
Oh, you're right.
But
Okay.
wait, but before we get back to it, but this guy is dragged out of a nursing home and is
Yes.
guilty.
Yes.
But also, can you imagine being that poor brother who coaxed her to go to work that day
I know.
and she dies and
Yep.
the guilt you must feel like I
know.
made her go to work and she never came back.
Yep. So at the time of the killing, Richmond had lived on a nearby Hendricks County farm and was just passing through Martinsville on the night Jenkins was murdered. According to a court document, in 1985, Richmond was acquitted of murder in an Owen County case. And then in 1987, he was accused of attempted murder and found not guilty by reason of insanity in Florida. He was fixated upon castrating himself and eventually succeeded.
What?
Yep,
He castrated himself?
he did. He had a mental health and alcohol problems and was involved with the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that guy. And I guess if
You think?
I think if you had examined, like if you took everybody who's involved in the Ku Klux Klan and
They've all got mental problems.
if you isolated them all, there's something wrong with
all of them.
So just
It's like a bunch of insane, crazy white people that get together.
there's something wrong with those people.
Yeah.
Like to be that hateful,
Right.
there's something wrong with
So
you.
that document also says that from 1954 to 1979, he was married to Ruby Richmond Welch. She declined an interview with the Star, but told investigators Richmond abused her and their children and would be violent when he got drunk. And once she said he did stab her.
Jesus.
She stated that he hated black people in the 1960s, the affidavit says. Furthermore, he was always fixated about castrating himself. That even
That's a weird
mentions it there.
thing.
So
But what's the hate?
he had asked
about
his
black-
wife to castrate him, telling her the act would tame him.
What the hell?
In the mid-1970s,
should've.
Richmond
Then
managed a partial castration, and then he completed the procedure in 1982.
Holy crap.
Now, I don't know. That's just cutting your balls off, right?
I think so.
Okay. That's what I thought. I don't know.
You mean, are you asking if they're also cutting the dick off?
Yeah. I guess that wouldn't make
I think
sense.
a eunuch doesn't have a penis either, but
Yeah.
I think castrating. I don't know. I haven't delved into this
No.
topic much, so
No.
I don't really know.
Yeah. Okay.
But-
Listeners, call in.
Yeah, call in. We'll wait. We'll wait.
Call in.
Call in.
This isn't live, honey. We can't wait.
Kyle, the number to call in is for future reference is 1-900-909-Jeff.
What is that, really?
1-900. That was a 900 line for Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince
Oh,
in
okay.
the 80s.
I thought it was going to be something bad. All right.
No, one
So-
other thing. I feel like I had something else to say. but
About
maybe it's-
castration,
Well, don't you think, like, why don't we just take all the...
Ku Klux Klan
Ku
people,
Klux Klan
and
people?
lock them up and
No, don't lock them up. Put them, like, in...
put them on an island somewhere.
No, a catapult. Like a cannon that shoots you out into space.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
And just let them live out in space forever.
Yeah,
on the
live,
moon.
Let them live on the moon.
A clan moon.
Yeah, they can be as white as they want up
It's
there.
it's a white moon.
Yeah.
It's super white. They can be up there with all their guns.
Nobody
and
cares.
They have
Yeah.
their campfires or whatever they do, and put
Yep.
their masks on, and suck each
Little
other off,
dildos
or
up
whatever
their
they
ass
want. Yeah,
and
whatever
stuff.
they want to do, and just put them out there.
Yeah.
You got everything. There's no black people there. You're all set. Your mental illness will be solved.
Yep, let them just do
But
whatever they
shoot
want.
them with a cannon at the moon.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so His
I'm onto
half sister, Lenny Shields, told investigators Richmond sent her threatening letters with razor blades in them before she testified against him in the 1985 Owen County murder case. Richmond was admitted at various times for self-mutilation and intoxication, including one incident in August 2000 where he attacked a police officer with a knife. The court document says there was no information about where the incident took place. The police realized that they would not have found Shirley if it had not been for the anonymous phone call and letter. Shirley McQueen stated that Richmond had a pronounced dislike for black people. Richmond's hatred ran so deep, he threatened to kill McQueen and her sister if they ever dated a black man. Of course, he said that. Richmond never went to trial for Jenkins' murder, nor was his accomplice ever identified.
Why?
He was declared incompetent to stand trial, and 2 weeks later, on August 31st, 2002, he died of bladder cancer.
Oh.
Following the murder, Don and Norma Neal received constant harassment and death threats after it was revealed they tried to help Jenkins.
You're kidding.
Mm-mm.
In 2000?
No.
After it did back
following
then.
the murder.
Oh, right.
In the
then.
60s. In
That's
2014, the Neals proposed a monument in Martinsville in Carol's memory. However, the plans were scrapped after the county commissioner said he started getting flack about it. That happened in 2014.
In Indiana?
In Indiana. A community park in
Jesus.
Rushville, Indiana was rededicated in Jenkins' name as Carol Jenkins Davis Park on November 1st, 2017. Finally.
Well, that's nice.
And a memory stone was placed in the garden of Martinsville City Hall on November 2nd, 2017.
You know, on behalf of America, I'd like to apologize to Carol Jenkins.
Yeah. Seriously.
For this being the shitty place that it is.
It is.
There's areas that are shitty, and people are
There's
shitty.
people that are shitty.
There's just some. Can't we just? Is there like? Why doesn't somebody invent some kind of thing to get rid of the shitty people?
If we could just
Or stop them
like,
from being shitty.
really secede, but like divide it. If we could afford to get everybody who's liberal on one side and everybody who's conservative on the other side,
But I don't think it's.
then
cut
you
and
could
dry.
run it. But then you could run it however you want to run it. And
Yeah, but then my theory on that is even if you did that, then the one side and the other side would split off
again.
and, again in different factions.
Yeah, probably.
It's like the rule of three roommates. Like if there's three roommates, one's always the bad guy.
Yeah, one's always the guy
and
out.
then that one moves out, and somebody else moves in, somebody else becomes the bad guy. So I think, and it's not. I don't think it's also cut and dry as all liberals and all conservatives are all in the same. You know, but there's just pure evil people. Like it's okay to be conservative, but
right.
to hate,
Right.
like to want people dead, and
I know.
I mean, it's a mental issue.
It
like
is.
it's a mental problem. Like
Mhm.
to be able to stab somebody, like if you're capable of stabbing somebody
Yeah.
through the heart,
Then
just
you don't see them as a human.
just because how they look, but
I mean,
whether they're human or not,
they are
of-
so dehumanized in your eyes that
But
then you
I
can go
think
back
that-
and laugh about it. And
I
you do
think-
that in front of your child.
it's not just that. Like if you could stab anything through
Right.
the heart with
Yeah.
it, not just human. Like
Oh, I know.
if you want to stab a turtle, like if you
Yeah.
want to stab anything, like if you have that much hatred,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you, and you're going to the moon now.
Yeah.
We're putting you in a
Yeah, that's a
thing
good
and-
idea, honey.
and you stab
got
at
it.
the moon.
Or Mars, that's even further away. That might even be better.
But like, I guess the crux of it is like what. Then you look at analyze the brain, like what made that person that way.
Right.
Like was he normal?
Was
born
probably his
and something
parents.
happened, and yeah. So and all those people that are going to do that, like, I don't know how you.
I know.
I think it's time for that. What's that? Minority Report where they
If you're going to
know what
commit a
you're going to
crime,
do,
yeah.
like analyze somebody's brain and know
Yeah.
what they're going to do, and then shoot them off into the moon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something has to be done. It's just like stop. Just everybody be cool.
I know.
Like what? If maybe everybody should be forced to have marijuana,
That's what I think the answer
Forced
is.
marijuana
but
in the
that's
food.
just my personal answer.
like saltpeter.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put it in the food so you don't get boners.
Yeah.
Well, that same day that she was murdered, on
Nobody
September
knows what you're
16th
talking about.
I don't
You
know.
just
we
drop
talked about
that
it.
in the conversation.
We talked about it on a previous episode.
Yeah.
That they put saltpeter in the food in the army so that men don't get boners and
which
bang
is
each
not
other.
true.
I don't know if it's true or not. Jury's out. I have a friend who said he had it
Maybe.
and he couldn't get a boner, and then they hated the women's
Oh no, that's such
dorm
a
one time,
lie
and they all
story.
got boners. You know, I have a friend that said that.
Such a lie.
And then that same day that she was murdered, presidential candidate Richard M. Nixon broke precedent by joining the many celebrities who had cameo appearances on the popular Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In show to utter the show's catchphrase,
Sock it to me.
yes. As the program opened its second season, Nixon's appearance was a pre-recorded 3-second clip where Nixon awkwardly feigned surprise and asked, "Sock it to me." A contemporary report made after Newsweek magazine broke the surprise noted that only a few years ago it would have been inconceivable that a candidate for president of the United States would appear on a television variety show. And a historian would note more than 40 years later that the clip made explicit the historic juncture between presidential politics and popular entertainment by using entertainment television to bypass the press and actively construct a public image of a likable, popular personality to assert his political legitimacy.
Right. And then they do it on Saturday Night Live all the time.
Yeah, they do it, yeah. And I think Obama's mastered that by making a likable guy do funny things. And like when he was on Colbert, remember when he was on Colbert?
Oh, he was so funny.
That cool or whatever it was. Anyway, let's get through September, and I have October, too, see how far we can get. September 21st, 1968, Jeannie C. Riley takes over the #1 spot in the Billboard charts with Harper Valley PTA.
Okay.
You know how that goes?
No. I think if I heard it, I would know it, kind of thing.
I don't know it either.
Do you want to play it or no?
Harper Valley PTA.
Probably something like that.
I'm thinking of a Busta Rhymes song. But, and then on Tuesday, September 24th, 1968, the CBS television news show 60 Minutes, produced by Don Hewitt, made its debut at 10 o'clock Eastern Time with Mike Wallace and Harry Reasoner as the hosts.
They've been on there forever.
Yeah. One critic acknowledged Hewitt's attempt to make the program look as much as possible like a magazine and concluded that it was bright and breezy and went a long way in bridging the gap between the ha-ha of TV entertainment and the
hoo-hoo of TV entertainment.
And the Dolores solemnity.
Yeah.
Dolores.
What are you talking about?
Solemnity of public affairs programs. The first story on the first show was a report about the Republican and Democratic national conventions from August, comparing and contrasting the reactions of both Richard Nixon and Hubert H. Humphrey to their respective nominations for the presidency.
Yes.
The program would begin its 50th consecutive season in 2017.
Wow.
Don't mind the background noise.
I know.
We are recording live from a kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a kitchen where we're serving
Chinese restaurant.
in a Chinese restaurant. And then Saturday, September 28th, 1968, the Beatles take over the #1 spot with Hey Jude.
That's
heard
a good
of
one.
it?
That's a good one.
Have you heard of it?
I have.
Hey Jude.
Everybody knows how that goes.
Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. A lot of people don't know this, but that is an ode that is dedicated to Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son. Paul wrote it for John Lennon's son.
That's right.
And Julian Lennon is a one-hit wonder. With what song? What song did he come out with?
God, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember either, but it was terrible.
Jeez.
Just put that anywhere.
Yeah.
And then the 29th of September of 1968, the cause of action that would lead to a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision, United States versus United States District Court, referred to more often as the Keith case, because of a challenge to an order by U.S. District Court Judge Damon Keith, arose when a dynamite bomb was exploded outside of an office in Ann Arbor, Michigan, used for recruitment by the CIA. Nobody was injured, but after an investigation that included wiretapping, the blast was traced to 3 American men who would be indicted for conspiracy to destroy government property. Judge Keith's
wonder what their deal was.
Judge Keith's order that the U.S. government must disclose its evidence, even to a subversive group, would be challenged and lead to a unanimous 1972 ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court that would require a warrant for electronic surveillance by the U.S. against American citizens.
Good.
Aren't you glad they can't just surveil you?
Oh, yeah.
But
they probably are.
Don't you think they are anyway? They're
yeah.
And then
nowadays, I think there's a lot of shit going on that's kind of shady. Robot birds.
Well, now the technology is so advanced.
Yeah. Robot birds.
Not only robot birds, but robot
Mosquitoes.
virus.
Oh.
A robot virus that's watching you and inside your nasal cavity.
Wow. that
Checking
would
out
blow
your
mind.
phlegm, huh?
Gross.
Tuesday, October 1st, 1968, Night of the Living Dead
Oh, that's a good one.
is a public domain film. Did you know that? It's in the public domain.
Is it?
Because when distributors changed the name from Night of the Flesh Eaters to Night of the Living Dead, they accidentally removed the copyright indication on the prints.
Oh, really? And so
Yeah.
that's in the public domain. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was written, directed, and photographed.
What is wrong
Photograph.
with you?
It was written and directed. It's a new world. And edited by George A. Romero.
Yes.
Co-written by John Russo and starring
I don't.
Dwayne Jones and Judith O'Dea. Duh.
Yeah.
The story follows 7 people who are trapped in a rural farmhouse in western Pennsylvania, which is under assault by an enlarging group of cannibalistic undead corpses. You made me watch this back then.
Yes, and one of the really cool, interesting
Not
things
back
about
then.
it is that the lead, the hero, is black,
Yeah.
and they don't ever comment about it.
They never even mention that
They
it's
never
about a
even
black guy.
mention
Yeah.
it. It's about that. Like none of the other white people in the
Like they're not
farmhouse
like, hey,
with
you're
them
black or anything.
have
yeah.
any issue with him, like at all, or it's like
Yeah.
he's just another person. And that for 1968, that's pretty cool.
It's definitely different. And it was shot outside Pittsburgh, where it had its theatrical premiere on October 1st. It grossed $12 million domestically and $18 million internationally,
That's pretty good.
earning
haul.
more than 250 times its budget.
Wow.
Night of the Living Dead is regarded as a cult classic by film scholars and critics,
Yes.
despite being heavily criticized upon its release for its explicit gore.
Mm-hmm.
It eventually garnered critical acclaim and was selected in 1999 by the Library of Congress
Yes.
Library of Congress
Mm-hmm.
for preservation in the National Film Registry as a film deemed culturally, historically, or
What?
aesthetically
Okay.
significant.
Yep. That's a good one. That one, I always feel like, even though it's so primitive looking, after I watch it, I always feel like people are trying to get in the house.
Yeah, you feel like you need to
like I feel
look
like
around,
oh,
turn
like,
on all the lights,
like
and
yeah,
yeah.
you get that weird feeling from watching it.
There's something to do with watching it now, and it's people from the '60s. Like anything from the '60s
Kind of creepy.
is as creepy as zombies to me.
Yeah.
Like just watching anybody that exists in the '60s on film is like,
Yeah.
ugh, ugh. You lived then? Ugh.
That's a little weird.
So when I see people that were alive in the '60s, I just go, ugh. You were alive in the '60s? Ugh. Get away from me. Like baby dolls from the '60s.
Yeah,
Ugh.
they're very creepy.
Like any people I've ever met that were alive in the '60s, they're gross. Get away from
See,
me.
I think you're getting a little too.
If you were born in the '60s and you listen to American Timelines, please stop listening.
Stop.
We don't want you as a
Both our
listener.
mothers were born in the 60s.
They're not listening. On October 2nd, 1968, here we go.
What?
The Tlatelolco massacre took place 10 days before the 1968 Summer Olympics were
So
scheduled
you
to
didn't-
begin
You
in
didn't
Mexico City.
bother to figure out how to pronounce that?
Well, it's T. Is that an L or another T? TLATELOLCO. Tlatelolco.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Anyway, a massacre took place in Mexico City,
Mm-hmm.
right before the '68 Summer Olympics were scheduled to begin, as Mexican police began firing into a crowd of thousands of protesters at the Plaza de la Tres Culturas at the Mexico City neighborhood of Tlatelolco. The Mexican government listed the death toll at only 32 and claimed that most of the victims were killed by students who were firing machine guns from surrounding buildings.
Boy, this is sure ringing a bell.
It's just like what's going on now.
Yeah.
Foreign journalists who were present at the scene and survivors estimated that between 150 and 500 protesters were killed. They only
Wow.
reported 32. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it's crazy.
Uh,
Even 32. Can you imagine
that's a lot.
if
Yeah.
we turned on the news and they said 32 protesters were killed by police?
yeah. Right.
Oh my God.
And then the police would instantly blame it on, they were shooting.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
You can't
They're trying to
verify
spin it
anything
around.
anymore.
Right.
And then we'll jump to Sunday, October 6, 1968. At Huntington Park, California, the initial worship services were held for the Metropolitan Community Church, which described itself later as the world's first church group with a primary positive ministry to gays, lesbians, bisexual, and transgender services.
Oh.
Reverend Troy Perry, who had been a Reverend Troy Perry, who had been a Pentecostal Reverend Troy Perry, who had been a Pentecostal Christian minister who had resigned after revealing that he was gay, held a service for 12 people in his living room.
Oh.
Within 40 years, the church had 44,000 members and adherents in 300 congregations in 22 countries.
Oh.
Isn't that surprising
Yeah.
that early there was a gay
Mhm.
church? I can't believe it.
I love it.
Or a church open to gays. And October 7th, 1968 was a Monday prior to the opening of Game 5 of the World Series in Detroit. Hispanic-American singer Jose Feliciano performed the Star-Spangled Banner with a slower Latin jazz performance, a controversial decision that opened the door for later interpretations of the American national anthem.
I always, whenever I think of Jose Feliciano, I always just think of those long,
Feliz Navidad.
those long fingernails he had. He would be on Sesame Street sometimes,
And he had big long fingernails?
and he had long fingernails to play the guitar with.
I was not aware of that.
Yep, it was so gross.
That same day, Jack Valenti, the president of the Motion Picture Association of America, announced...
I think that's true. I mean, maybe it's like a false memory I had. Do you ever have that where you think you remember something like from your childhood, but then it turns out it's a false memory?
No, that's called a lie. It's
No.
called a liar.
No, I remember that, but
Do you?
yeah,
Do you, though?
but
Or are
it's
you
a
lying about
Very,
it?
very faint memory.
Or is it something you lied about to make friends? And you've lied about it so
No,
long.
I've never lied
you
about
don't know-
it.
You probably lied
I
about
don't know
it to
why
seem
people
cool.
would want to be friends with me because of that.
You lied in front of people to seem cool,
All
to
right.
get friends.
You're not gonna have a discussion, then let's just move on.
Well, are you going to Google it to find out if it's true?
I
Well,
guess
let's
I
get our
have
fact checker to Google it. Did Jose Feliciano have long fingernails? Our fact checker will work on that while we move on.
She's not gonna know how to spell any of that.
Oh, we got a fact checker that can't spell Jose Feliciano? Anyway, the president of the Motion Picture Association of America announced a new rating system for films. Anyway, who cares about the Motion Picture Association coming with a new
Yeah,
rating,
nobody
right?
cares.
You care?
Nobody cares.
Yes, you're the fact checker.
Okay, are we almost done?
October 10th, 1968, the Detroit Tigers won the World Series by a 4-1 score over the heavily favored St. Louis Cardinals, where you're from, completing an unlikely comeback after having lost 3 of the first 4 games before winning the last 3. Brian McCartney will be happy about that. He's a Tigers fan. He's from Toledo. He loves baseball, and we're only keeping it in for Brian McCartney.
For Brian, that's right.
That same day, following its approval by the U.S. Senate, the Gun Control Act of 1968, the first major firearms control act passed by Congress in 30 years, was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives, 160 to 149. The new law prohibited all sales of guns and ammunition by mail order.
Okay.
The method used by Lee Harvey Oswald to obtain a rifle.
Yeah.
And it limited over-the-counter gun sales to qualified purchasers, whatever that means. And then on Saturday, October 12th, 1968, the opening ceremony of the Games of the X1X Olympiad, the 14, took place in Mexico City, although still referred to as the 1968 Summer Olympics. The Games were the second in a row to be held in the autumn. Hugh Jackman was also born that day.
Okay.
He is an Australian film and stage actor.
No, stop it.
You don't know who Hugh Jackman is?
Yes, I do.
Wow, geez. Then October 13th, 1968, Hossein Behzad, an Iranian painter, died. He was 74.
Oh, come
Okay.
on.
Monday. Monday. You don't want to know about Iranian painters?
No.
You're racist towards Iranian painters.
I don't want to know about that.
Monday, October 14th, 1968, Guards at a prison farm in Cummins, Arkansas, fired into a crowd of about 70 inmates who had refused to go to work in the fields until their demands were met, wounding 24 of them.
Wow.
Did you know that happened?
Nope.
And then Tuesday, October 15, 1968, the United States Supreme Court issued its first ruling of its new term, holding in a 6-3 decision that the state of Ohio had to, as the other 49 states had done, include third-party candidate George C. Wallace on its ballots in November.
Yeah.
And that same day, the pornographic film Vixen, the first American film to have an X rating under the new classification system that I briefly touched on earlier, was released nationwide. Director Russ Meyer voluntarily gave his film an X rating, limiting the film to adults only, 17 days before the MPAA system of ratings was introduced. Erica Gavin appeared as its nymphomaniac title character. You ever seen that movie?
No.
Would you like to?
No.
Later on?
Not necessarily.
I rented it from the Blockbuster.
Yeah, not necessarily. Is that on that guy's
Plex. I don't think it's on Richard Powers' Plex.
No.
October 16th, 1968 was a Wednesday in Mexico City. African-American athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos raised their fists in a Black Power salute at medal ceremony after winning, respectively, the gold and bronze in the Olympic men's 200-meter race.
Good for them.
After refusing to apologize, the two men were expelled from the team and sent home. And a lot of people don't know about this, but the third man on the platform was a white Australian silver medalist, Peter Norman.
Yeah.
He wore an Olympic Project for Human Rights badge to show solidarity with those guys.
Aw.
He had to borrow it from somebody.
Yeah.
Because he was like, he knew what they were going to do. And he was like, I want to
show that
if I put my fist up, that's not going to look,
Yeah, right.
but I want to do something.
Oh, that's cool.
So he stood with him, and he stood in solidarity with him the rest of his life, despite being ostracized in his own country.
Because of that?
Yeah, because of that. He was ostracized. Years later, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, the athletes responsible for that Black Power salute, were pallbearers at Peter Norman's funeral.
Which one was Peter Norman?
The white guy, Australian guy,
Okay.
who was ostracized for standing with those guys.
Oh, wow.
Those guys were pallbearers for him
Aw.
because they like it was
Kept
like a bond.
together, yeah.
That kind of chokes me up now, especially with everything that's going on now.
Yeah, really.
Come on, Australian guys.
Save the day.
We need you. Yeah, we really need it.
Did you see on the
white
news that
people standing
guy that let 70 protesters come to his house and spend the night?
Then DC.
I think.
I know that there was a lot of.
This you got to read about it. It's amazing because
I know that police last night forced DC protesters down a street in order to arrest them.
In order to arrest them,
and people
for
opened
being
their
out
doors.
after curfew.
A bunch of people opened their doors
And
to them. They
they
spent
did.
the night with all these people. They got
And
pizza. And
One
all.
guy, they had 70 of them, and they snuck the pizza in through the back alley.
Yeah.
And he
That's when I was reading the people tweeting from inside his house.
and there's a video. Did you see the video?
No, I haven't yet.
You got to see there's two videos. There's one where he's inside and she's asking him like, do you for the record for everybody, did we break in your house?
Oh yeah, because
the
police tried to arrest him for breaking in.
And he said, you're welcome to stay here, and then also watch the one where he's on the news and he's talking, because he really says some beautiful things. And
I would love 70 protesters to stay at our house overnight. That'd be a party.
it was just so touching. And
Yeah, I will watch it.
Yeah.
And listeners, you watch it.
that's right.
October 17th, 1968, Bullet, the iconic Steve McQueen action film that featured what has been called the most famous car chase in cinematic history,
Never even heard of it.
premiered at New York City's Radio Music City Hall
I think
and
it's
became
Radio
a
City
critical.
Music Hall, honey.
That's what I said.
You said Radio Music City Hall.
I said Radio City Music
No,
Hall.
you didn't. You said Radio Music City Hall.
No, we'll play it back.
What was it?
I said.
checker.
I
You're
said.
supposed to be the fact checker.
I was reading it. New York City's Radio City Music Hall. We'll play it back.
Okay.
And if I'm right, and if we play it back and I'm right,
Yeah. What's gonna happen?
you owe me
I owe you
an
what?
apology.
I will. I think you said Radio City Music Hall.
That's what it is.
Or Radio Music City Hall.
No, it's Radio City Music Hall. I was reading it, so why would I say it wrong?
Maybe I'm goofy.
You are wrong. So how about an apology now up front? You're not on this podcast, fact checker. Are you going to apologize?
No, because we don't know who's right yet.
But will you give me an apology if I'm right?
No, probably not, to be honest.
Anyway, that movie became a success. Also, that same day, Nancy Tuckerman, the press secretary for presidential widow Jackie Kennedy, announced that the former First Lady had departed on a charter flight from New York,
Mm-hmm.
New York's JFK International Airport, named after her husband,
Mm-hmm.
on an Olympic Airways Boeing 707 to marry one of the world's wealthiest men,
Oh,
shipping
yes.
company owner Aristotle Onassis, the following week.
Yep.
The announcement came less than a week after the U.S. Senate had voted to provide Mrs. Kennedy with Secret Service protection until her death or until she remarries.
Oh.
And then Ziggy Marley was born that same day.
Okay.
You know who that is?
Yes. You all right over there?
I had the hiccups.
You get some gas or what's going on?
I've drank a lot of beers.
Jesus. That's the tune of this whole pandemic.
I drank a bunch of beers. October 18th, 1968 was a Friday. U.S. athlete Bob Beamon broke the world record for the long jump by more than a half a meter. You know how many centimeters half a meter is?
No, but Audrey could probably tell us.
Audrey, how many centimeters is half a meter?
You just hop the decimals.
It's
Half a meter would be 0.5, and then you would go this way.
It's 55 centimeters, jerks, and almost 2 feet, 21 and 3/4 inches of the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. His record stood for 23 years and is still the second longest jump in history.
Okay.
That same day, John Lennon was taken by London police to the Paddington Green police station on charges of possession of cannabis
Oh, God.
and obstructing a police search. In the first arrest of a member of the Beatles, the most successful entertainers in the history of British show business.
That's right. How'd they leave them alone? For crying out loud.
Nobody told me there'd be days like these. October 20th, 1968 was a Sunday. Less than 5 years after the assassination of her husband, former U.S. First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy married Greek shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis.
Mm-hmm.
A ceremony on the Greek island of Scorpios. And in doing so, she forfeited $200,000 per year of financial support from the Kennedy family.
And she wasn't going to need it now.
They don't need it because that guy got some money. I wonder how she met him, and did she already know
Yeah, I
him before
wonder
JFK? Like, no, it makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But he was cheating on her all along with
Yeah,
Marilyn Monroe.
tons of people.
Like, JFK slept with the hottest woman in history.
Yeah, I know. And
So
he
did
wasn't even that.
Arthur Miller. Like,
Yeah. And
the-
Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio, like, she really...
She didn't have very good
She could have had
taste.
me.
True.
I wasn't born yet.
You weren't born yet. That's going to be a
She
problem.
could have had my great-grandfather, who probably looked just like me.
Yee.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Yee. October 22nd, 1968 was a Tuesday.
Yes.
Apollo 7, the first space mission where the entire crew had the common cold,
Mm-hmm.
ended its 11-day mission with the descent made worse by painful pressure in the astronauts' ears and sinuses.
Okay.
Can you imagine? Like, you know how bad it is to have
Yeah.
fly on an airplane with a cold?
Yeah. Oh.
Coming in from space? Oh, man.
You would think that your head would explode because that's kind of how it feels like it's gonna do.
Maybe,
You would think that
Yeah, you
there's
would
so much
think.
pressure it would just.
but
Pop.
it won't. That same day, Orville Richard Burrell was born, Jamaican-born American reggae singer known as Shaggy. He was born that same day.
Okay.
You know that guy?
Nope.
October 24th, 1968 was a Thursday.
Yeah.
The 199th and last mission of the fastest airplane in history, the X-15 rocket plane, was completed by NASA test pilot William H. Dana.
Okay.
That same day that happened, starting at 3:08 in the morning local time, military and civilian personnel of North Dakota's Minot Air Force Base reported an unidentified flying object.
Ooh.
According to a report filed with the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book, an employee charged with servicing the Minot's AFB's missiles was the first to describe a bright orangish red object, followed by the crew of a B-52 bomber had spotted the object on his radar and then had a visual sighting. According to the Air Force summary, 14 other people in separate locations also reported sighting a similar object.
Nice.
Aliens are real, y'all. October 25th,
Not that I
1968.
want aliens to be real.
I don't want them to be real either.
I don't.
But somebody mentioned on a call today, I had a work call,
Yeah.
like just of random people just checking in, and it's like everybody just kind of commenting on how crazy it is that what
Yeah.
we're dealing with now in society on top of what we're already dealing with. And she made a backhanded comment that I now think is going to bring true. She said, well, who knows? By next week, where aliens will land.
Ooh.
I think it's going to happen now.
Do you?
Because she said that.
Yeah, but they already admitted that they exist,
They
didn't
already
they?
admitted that they are aliens. So
No, they didn't say they're alien. They
they're
just said
definitely
they're
aliens, and their names are Alf and Mork.
No, they said that they're
Alf and Mork.
They're Did they say they're extraterrestrial?
They
or
just
did
said
they
they
just
don't know. They
There's
were UFOs.
unidentified
They
flying
don't know what
objects.
those things that were moving.
Yeah.
October 25th, 1968 was a Friday. We're almost through the year.
We're
Formerly,
going to finish the end of October.
that's what we're trying to do. Formerly, the New Yardbirds, Led Zeppelin gave its first. They were called the New Yardbirds. Now they're called Led Zeppelin for the first time. They gave its first live concert under its new name, Led Zeppelin, performing at Surrey University in England. Jimmy Page remained as lead guitar, but reorganized the Yardbirds, with Robert Plant taking the place of Keith Relf, bassist John Paul Jones, John Richard Baldwin, coming in for Chris Dreja, and drummer John Bonham replacing Jim McCarty. The new band name was a variation of the slang term of a lead balloon, as any successful venture, and was based on Page's recollection of a joke by Keith Moon of The Who, that a duo of Moon and Page would go down like a Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
That's why they named it that.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's
I
interesting.
didn't know why they named it that. And October 27th, 1968 was a Sunday. The 1968 Summer Olympics closed in Mexico City, and one reporter noted that the problem games, as they came to be known, had been brought off successfully, more successfully, in fact, than by any other host, and added, competitively, this has been the greatest Olympics in history. Incredible feats have necessitated practically rewriting the entire amateur record book, with 20 world records broken. In all, 7,600 athletes from 112 nations participated. The U.S. won the most medals. How many gold do you think they won?
5.
45.
Oh.
How many medals overall?
I don't know, obviously.
107. 107.
I guessed 5.
What country do you think came in second place? Wrong. Soviet Union.
What are we even talking about? Because I've totally zoned out.
How many gold medals do you think Soviet
We're talking
Union
about
won?
the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is so boring.
Why are you guessing numbers then?
This is so boring.
Why would you guess a number if you don't even know what we're talking about?
Because I'm bored.
In the largest anti-American protest in British history, that same day, a crowd of 30,000 demonstrators marched through London near the U.S. Embassy. It was an anti-American protest about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Wednesday, October 30th, 1968, 38 people in South Korea on their way home from a funeral were killed.
Oh, boy.
And another 40 were injured when their chartered bus ran off of a
cliff
and fell into the Nam River.
Oh, my God.
Every bus.
This week in bus accidents.
In the 60s, every single bus, I'm convinced, every
went
bus
off a cliff.
Went off a cliff in the 60s.
My God. You're right.
I am right. October 11th, 1968. October 31st, 1968. Sorry.
Halloween.
October 31st, it isn't my date of birth. It's
Okay.
probably Ad Rock's birthday. Was he born in 68? He's probably born in 60.
I'm surprised you
I
wouldn't
don't remember
have
exactly
that on
the
there.
year. I know his birthday was October 31st.
She's
I don't remember what year.
She's the
When was
fact
Adam
checker.
Horovitz born, Audrey? Check Adam Horovitz's birthday. Horovitz. Horovitz. I think it was 66. He might have been 2. October 31st, 1968 was a Thursday. October 31st is
Stop
my date of
it.
birth. Citing progress in the Paris peace talks, U.S. President Lyndon B. Horovitz. Horovitz. Or you can call him Ad Rock.
Just do Ad Rock.
What's his birthday? Birth date. What year was he born? 1966.
You missed it.
It was 2 years. Anyway, citing progress in the Paris peace talks, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson announced in a nationwide address that he had ordered a complete cessation of all air, naval, and artillery bombardment of North Vietnam, effective at 9 p.m. local time on November 1st.
Joey, will you go plug this in by my bed?
Oh,
Sorry.
The announcement, which came 5 days before the U.S. presidential election, confirmed speculation that a major breakthrough had been made in negotiations between the U.S. and South Vietnam on one side, North Vietnam and Viet Cong on the other.
Okay.
That same day, the Condon Committee, a Colorado University study group led by Professor Edward Condon, delivered its final report, Scientific Study of Unidentified Flying Objects, to the United States Air Force, which had funded the project. Condon's summary was, quote, "Our general conclusion is that nothing has come from the study of UFOs in the past 21 years that has added to scientific knowledge. Careful consideration of the record as it is available to us leads us to conclude that further extensive study of UFOs probably cannot be justified in the expectation that science will be advanced thereby."
So in other
Unquote.
words, we're going to stop studying UFOs.
Yeah, we don't even
Okay.
know what we're talking about. The report would be published as a mass market paperback in January. That's just to calm everybody down.
Yeah.
Because we all know Area 51 existed where people are having sex with aliens.
We'll get to it.
We will?
Maybe.
Anyway,
That was in
that
the
concludes
40s.
October. We've now covered September and October of 1968. Thank you for listening, Timehead. A Timehead reached out to me this week and said he definitively likes to be called Timeheads. and
Nobody said
he's
that.
working on a T-shirt.
Nobody's
He wants to make a
doing that.
Timeheads T-shirt. His name is Daniel Briggs, and he's the leader of the Timeheads.
Oh my God.
Dan Briggs is the leader of the Timeheads. Thank you, Dan Briggs, for listening. Tell all your friends at your transportation company that you work for.
Okay. And rate us, review us, subscribe. Be sure to tell your loved ones
Yeah, retweet.
and listen to Matt Truman Ego Trip and buy his records.
Yes.
And
Stop racism.
yes, please.
Single-handedly, our listeners should stop all racism.
the racism.
All of our listeners should single-handedly stop all racism from now on.
Please do.
Put an end to it.
Breaks-
Thanks, guys.
Makes my heart hurt.
It makes my butt and my heart hurt. Matt Truman, Ego Trip rules. And Derek Jones.
We're so tired of hearing about the 60s. I said we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. When you were all along the watchtower, kissing the sky, well, I was barely a glimmer in my young daddy's eye. I said that we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. One more time, I said we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. Well, make me shut my mouth now.
Alan asked you Alice versus Tempy in town. Now you're stealing coffee money for the president's ball. Well,
We're so tired of hearing about the 60s.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Talk about pork.